All right, guys, so today we're going to be going over how to change out a deadbolt and lock set. Now, this task could really take about 20 to 30 minutes. It's not too hard, assuming, of course, that your holes are cut and you're just replacing what's there currently. But either way, it shouldn't take that long, so let's get this started. Now, first, we're just going to get this removed. Pretty easy, a couple screws here and a couple screws there. But let's go ahead and get this going. Now, sometimes it is easier just to have the handle already, just to have it open, but it should pull off. You do have to push this in to get this to pull out. All right, so the old lock is out. Here we have our new deadbolt here. We've got the latch for the deadbolt. We've got the latch for the lock. We have our collar here, and I'll show you how we're going to use that in a minute. Of course, we have our different latch plates here, and then we got a bunch of screws. But that's really all you should need. And honestly, I just used this screwdriver. That's pretty much everything I'm going to need, as long as I don't need to actually cut any of the plates out, anything like that. So, all right, so the first place I like to start is the knob. So first thing we want to do is we want to install our latch. Now, one thing you'll notice on the latch is that you'll see that this plate, there's no spot, there's no cutout for that. That doesn't mean you actually need to cut it out. That's what you have this thing for. And on a quick set, the way to remove that is just to twist that there. And again, put that under, twist it there. Then you can pull the top off. And then the bottom slides off. And then you're going to take your collar here. And there's only one way it goes on. You just slide the collar on. And there's going to be two spots right here. There's two spots where you push it down and it'll click it in place. And then all you have to do is slide it in. Now, before we install the latch, we're going to put it up to the side like this and just see where our hole is at. We want this centered in this hole. So as you can see, it's not far enough. So what we need to do is right here, there's a little mechanism. We're going to push this up and slide that down, and it'll push this whole thing out. And now you'll see that that's actually centered in the hole. So now we can just take that, slide it in like this, push it back. And again, twisting it. If it doesn't sit perfect, it's not a big deal. You can take a screwdriver and just twist it like that. But when you actually put the door handle in, it'll start to center it out. Now, unfortunately, with the way this is set up, the key here, you'll notice, is upside down for the most part. So you push it in, we got to put it in like that. Now, when you put this in, you actually have to push this in like that. And that'll slide in there like that. And you want these two holes. This is another thing I like about Quickset. Not all of them come with these, which are for the screws on the other side. I like that Quickset does that. We can slide that in. Want to make sure it goes through those two holes. Slide it in like that. And then you release it. Now, what's kind of nice about having that release there is that it will hold this. It doesn't hold it tight. The interior doors do, but the exterior does not, but it still kind of holds it in place. Now, on the inside here, you'll see there's a half moon shape. That's going to go on here, and it'll slide in a certain way. You also want to make sure it's not locked. So you might have to mess around with it, because if it's locked like that, it's not actually going to go in. So turn it, and you'll see that that lines up and slides on. And then you can adjust your screw holes to line up there. And you can adjust your screw holes and line it up here. Now, what I like to do is pull it out a little bit, kind of give you a better idea. Kind of see in there to line up your screws, but it can still be kind of tough. Then hand tight it, then just hand tighten it in there. And the same thing on the other side. Hand tighten them. There you take yours. And those don't need to be super tight to the point where you can't get them out. Those don't really need to be any more than hand tight, but that's pretty much all there is to that. Put that on. That now the door handle's on. Again, lock, unlock. Now we can move on to the deadbolt. The deadbolt does not have the option to take this off, so this does need to be chiseled out one way or another. But again, we want to stick it up to the side there and make sure this is centered in the hole. And as you see, it's not. So for the deadbolt, it's just a matter of twisting it. So when you twist it, it's going to flip it over. Now you want to make sure you install this, that this up is facing up. So we want to make sure that's up there. Then we can just slide that in. And if you need to chisel some out, you can. Otherwise, once that's in, take a couple of your smaller screws. And if this isn't drilled out, you can definitely pre-drill this. That's in there. Now take the front of your deadbolt. And again, I prefer to have it up like that. But to match up with the door, if you want to flip it over like that, you can. I'm not going to do that. That's annoying. And then this piece right here should line up in here. So you'll have to line it up in there, twist that, and push the front back in, and it's too small. Now, the tough part about that is that if you just want to put a drill on there, it's going to do like I did here. It's just going to scuff this up, and it's going to be really hard to drill that hole out because you have nothing to attach to. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my kit here, slide this over the top, line it up with where I want my hole to be, line it up here. The existing hole. Then I want to take a couple screws here. I'm going to line this up here. Put this thing on. Then I'm going to stick the screws in here. I want to line them up with the existing latch plate here. And squeeze it tight. I'm going to tighten that down. Now I can come back and drill out my hole. Hold on to it. Now you'll see it did cut it, but we need to chisel some out unless you went all the way through. Just take a screwdriver, snap it, and it'll come out. And you don't need to go all the way through unless you actually have to get it opened up more on the back side, but usually you don't need to do that. Now we can take our deadbolt, put it back in, take the front of our lock, again like we did before, line this up here in the back. So now we fit, needs to be touched up paint wise. I like to have it say locked. Again, let this go out. Hold the other side of it. Tighten it up. Now we can go to our strike plate here. Replace these out if you need to, but if you don't need to, I don't see any reason to replace them. But again, this would be here, pretty easy. And then this guy would go up here. This one's a little bit smaller, so I actually kind of like this. It's got big screws in it, so as long as this works, I wouldn't worry about it. I just leave them in them. And as you see, that works fine, so I would just leave them in place.